Good morning and welcome to the Senior Hour, which is sponsored by Comfort Keepers in Home Care and Advanced Audiology. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host,
Dr. Gene Dorio.
On your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. This is a show for, about, and by seniors, giving information to enhance one's quality of life. And our guests this morning are Dr. Micah Young, who's a teacher at the College of the Canyons, and Paul Wickline, Dean of Math, Science, and Engineering, also College of the Canyons. Boy, that sounds impressive.
Well, if I could chime in.
A dean and a doctor?
Well, the gentleman to my right, Dr. Young, is actually the Associate Dean for the School of Math, Science, Health Professions. I'm the Dean for the School of Social and Behavioral Sciences. So sorry if we provided some confusing information for you there.
Well, I won't go there again.
That's okay.
Because I'll just get it mixed up again.
I have a great fondness for the math, science, health professions, folks, but not the dean, no.
So what do you do at the college?
Well, I oversee 7 academic programs, which include anthropology, which may seem a long ways off from our conversation today, but we'll find a connection as we go.
I think we have some seniors that would consider themselves in that category.
Well, I didn't want to make that comment
Not
at
me,
all. But,
not me.
So anthropology, I have to go alphabetically. The early childhood education program, the communication studies program, psychology, sociology, history, poli-sci, political science. So I oversee all of those academic programs, and then I have a number of special projects that I work on, including this project that we're excited to talk about with you today.
Wonderful. And
I'm Dr. Micah Young. I'm the Associate Dean for the School of Mathematics, Sciences, and Health Professions. So we oversee the traditional science and engineering courses as well as allied health and public safety, so including nursing, our medical laboratory technician program, in addition to our EMT and public safety courses.
wow, that's
Fire
good.
tech.
Fire
Both
tech.
of you have
Whoa.
just broad responsibilities over at College of the Canyons.
We do, and we always get the other duties to be assigned, which we gladly and willingly accept.
You know how to delegate.
Absolutely. It's a great college. We enjoy all the projects that we get a chance to work on in our roles.
And you get to come here, too.
That's right.
That's really a
Absolutely.
treat.
So before
Really
we get
excellent.
into the senior part of this, since I have 3 daughters, I always, and they're all of them are in the sciences, in mathematics, and 2 are engineers. So, what is COC doing in terms of our younger generation, our kids, teenagers, graduated from high school, now in college? What is COC doing, and what are you guys doing to enhance our younger people, especially girls, getting into those fields?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm going to turn that over to Dr. Young.
That's a wonderful question. I think COC has a great reputation of preparing students for transfer. If you look at our math, science, and engineering, as well as what used to be math, science, and engineering, which is now math, science, and health professions, we have a tremendous pathway for students, both male and female, to explore career opportunities in all those areas. Some of the exciting recent additions to the college is our makerspace. So our makerspace, we have now infused College of Applied Technologies along with the School of Math, Science, and Health Professions. Students have a chance to integrate science and technology using hands-on experience while they're in college to explore different modalities of education as well as their scientific imagination.
It brings it to life,
Yes, it
in
does.
other words. Makes it much more attractive.
So young women, though, we invite them to go into the math and sciences and, enhance their skills in that, because we know you can do it.
That is correct.
It's just being brought forward with movies and books and, people talking about how in the past certain people did so well, women, but they could have done well, and many more could have done well, but they were held back. And we don't want that to happen anymore, because I am a firm believer that in doing that, whether it be women or anybody else of color or whatever, they were people being held back, held our country back. Mm-hmm. And now that we're kind of getting the light and seeing the light, I think we'll move forward a little bit faster. So young ladies out there at COC, math and science, we got to get you out there. All right.
Yeah, and I would add that we have some fabulous faculty that are great role models that we work with regularly that are wonderful women who know their know their subject, are inspiring for everyone they interact with, the students, the faculty. It's a great program.
You know, it's interesting. I went to COC before it was even a campus. I took psychology courses there, sociology courses there with, I can't think of his name, tremendous guy. He retired quite a few years ago. And they were holding them in Hart High School.
Right, long before the site
Before the site was even considered.
Right.
And now they have one over in Canyon Country, which is
Yes.
beautiful. I'm sure you've been over there.
Yes, we
I've
both have.
taught there several times. It's a great campus, and it's as a result of Measure E, which the community members were kind enough to pass. We're going to be able to expand services out there and buildings, and it's going to be a great additional campus for the
Well,
college.
we definitely needed an extension
Yeah.
over that side of town.
There's tremendous
Really
growth.
did.
Yeah, tremendous
Yes.
growth out there.
Especially since, our seniors are dispersed throughout Santa Clarita. And many of them do live in Canyon Country, like you.
Yeah.
And,
No, I live in Newhall.
well, you live in Newhall by
live
your
in the-
zip code, but everybody
I live
knows
in the-
Friendly Valley is in Canyon Country.
No, it's in Newhall.
You're right across the street.
No, it's in Newhall.
So,
Friendly Valley is Newhall.
but the seniors have trouble getting to College of the Canyons, and there's no direct line if they don't have a car. And doesn't it? You can drive, Barb, but some of our seniors cannot. And by having that campus over there, that's going to open up a whole new world for them. I believe.
We're also working on some additional sites in the community for non-credit, particularly for ESL instruction. But I think the hope is that we'll be able to do other kinds of programming out in those sites. So an additional site perhaps in Canyon Country and hopefully in Newhall, where there are a large number of seniors that might benefit from an expanded, what we used to have in the Emeritus program several years ago, courses specifically for older adults, and we're hoping to bring that back and look at returning to that model soon.
Well, I think you find probably, I don't know any statistics, but I would imagine quite a few seniors take classes over at the college.
Yeah, we just, a couple
lot
of
of
years
them.
ago, I think we had a 90-year-old college graduate complete her, I think it was a degree in my area, one of our social sciences, I think. I don't want to misspeak, but it was a tremendous accomplishment. She was featured at the podium on the day of the graduation. And the audience was absolutely impressed by that accomplishment that she finally received that AA degree.
Seniors can learn also.
Absolutely,
They
yeah.
really can, and they can teach younger people a lot.
But they do excel, I think, a lot when they try to sustain their education, which I think a lot of them are still doing. They realize that, they retire, they're doing something else, but, they're looking around for ways to learn. They'll read the newspaper, they'll read magazines, and they'll even go online and take classes. But, the best part about college is that you get to interact with people and, to have intergenerational interaction, I think really makes a huge difference for everybody across the board. So the College of the Canyons, though, it has sprouted up, taken roots, and it's blossoming. And one of the areas is in caregiving for our seniors. And our seniors, they're living older. We're trying to keep them in their homes and working real hard to find the ability and the assets and the finances for the state to be able to allow that to happen. But what is College of the Canyons doing that is going to enhance our seniors and their caregiving at home?
Sure. I'll start with that, and then Dr. Young can chime in. Well, we recognize that caregiving comes as a surprise for most families. It kind of creeps up on you, and sometimes it's triggered by a loved one's stroke or cancer or a heart attack, but often it's kind of a slow creep. Perhaps a decrease in health quality. And so we started conversations, I would guess, about a year ago with the Senior Center and with agencies outside of the Santa Clarita Valley that also want to serve the Santa Clarita Valley, Partners in Care, for example, which is located in San Fernando. And so we started conversations about what kinds of services we might provide at the college. And we settled on targeting family caregivers this last January as a real a need. And so we started to work with Partners in Care, the Senior Center, and also now the president of the Alzheimer's Association in the Los Angeles area, who's going to be one of our presenters at the May 20th event, which we'll talk about soon today. And we're going to start to develop and present some workshops at the Senior Center that are focused on providing family caregivers the information that they need to make that transition and to provide them resources that they perhaps aren't aware of. So we're working actively on that.
And they do, family members and seniors do also, when they're realizing that they're getting limited in their physical and mental attributes, they end up, it's like you said before, they're just being thrown into this, and they don't know how to handle it. They don't know what the next step, and all of a sudden they're seeing a lot of things that are in your face, but not knowing what to do about it. And that's the biggest problem, because as I do house calls, so I get to see the seniors, I see their medicines, I look in their refrigerator, I get to see all this. And so I understand all the things they're facing, and having done it for 3 decades, my appreciation and understanding is pretty good. But when family members are moving into that, it's very difficult, and it's funny because you don't want people to reinvent the wheel. It's already there. We just have to have workshops, events, and get together and discuss these issues and make it easier for everybody else. So Micah, tell us a little bit more about this area you guys are getting into.
So it's interesting because when Paul and I originally started having the conversations about serving the senior community, College of Canyons had a history of a SHARP program in the past, which was sunsetted at some point. But we were looking for a way to get back into this venue because we know that there's a need for education in this area, and we know that there's a population that we could serve. One of the nice things that College of Canyons had was an Archstone Foundation grant. So Archstone Foundation, one of their targeted key areas is helping identify ways to support healthy aging. And they're located in Long Beach, California. So the college had an Archstone Foundation grant, and we were able to it allowed us to modernize and infuse ACE's curriculum into our nursing program and to serve both our campus and, through our work of our Deputy Secretary Navigator, a couple of other college districts as well. At the end of the grant, we reached all of our objectives. We satisfied all objectives, but we had some funding left over. So we decided, what's the best way to use this funding? And the best way we thought of was taking this information out into the community and making sure that we extended that outreach to a population, to not just the benefit of what we learned from infusing the added material into our college curriculum, but now actually to multiply the effect and actually serving the public with some of the information. So after a lot of talk and discussion, we wanted to settle on something that would be most applicable to the senior population. So what Paul alluded to earlier is the discussions and conversations with the Senior Center and other stakeholders. We wanted to have something to present to folks who find themselves in the process of learning to be a caregiver, or finding or know that it may be on the horizon soon. So we wanted to have some inaugural conversations about those steps, and kind of naturally let it take form over time, as this will be the first of what we plan to have many talks between now and December of this year.
So do you think that one of the things that will happen with the caregivers, the family members that are surrounding our seniors, do you think that they're going to, they know they have to learn something about what's going on, but I think that they're not going to learn everything. When you have the different modalities over at College of the Canyons, you have nursing, you have social work, you have psychology, you have a lot of areas that overlap with what we're talking about. But how, discussion helps, but implementing is a whole different story. And, I think that my question is, how do we, and I think these discussions have occurred in New York and Florida and Washington, and we'll have to learn what they did. But, how do we, you're starting this, you're putting things together, you're having discussion, and you have funding, probably limited, but you have funding, how are you guys planning to, through College of the Canyons, getting our seniors and their families involved in this? Because you got stakeholders at the senior center and Partners in Care for sure.
And I think working closely with those stakeholders on a consistent basis is essential, and we've started that process and have had now, I think, 2 meetings and additional conversations on the phone. So we're trying to identify the strongest need for these family caregivers or soon-to-be family caregivers. And so we've had a lot of conversations back and forth about what the topics might be for this first seminar, this first workshop. And we're going to do a 2-hour workshop on May 20th in the morning, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Senior Center. We're going to provide hopefully a link to that information very soon. And we're really targeting kind of an essentials for family caregivers. And that's the first workshop out of the gate for this project, to provide essentials that we know from research and from conversations that caregivers absolutely will benefit from. And then from that point, we hope to get additional topics, additional inquiries, find out what from the first workshop, and for follow-up conversations, what are the additional needs that we need to develop a package of material and a package of presentations around.
So as I look at it, though, I know that one of the caregivers, what they're having trouble with is finding the time to be able to put things together for their loved ones. It is not an easy task, and they're every day they're thinking, okay, when can I get over to mom's or dad's place? How can I do this? And then the next thing is going to be, of course, the finances. Most of our seniors, have something, monies put away in a nest egg, but it's getting more and more difficult. Many they're part of the middle class and they're falling off the edge. And so, I think finances have to be looked at. And I will tell you a really important part of this, you have to have the cooperation of that senior themselves, because, I'll tell you, Barb, that sometimes our seniors are living their life and they're feeling that they've done everything in a way that has allowed them to get to where they are. And they're not going to allow us to intervene, and especially their kids. Sure. So, how are you going to overcome maybe that one? Because I have faced that with families. And, I think as a physician, I have that the authority kind of look. So I can say, hey, you need to consider this. And I probably try to, blend them into, recognizing that. But many a time, they do not hear that, even with me. So that's going to be a challenge, I think, and a hurdle for all of us to get over. And hopefully, someone has done it before, but for us, we're going to have to be, pretty creative in how we're going to do this.
Yeah, I wish I had an easy answer to that question about how we are, I think, exploring options and trying to figure out how best to provide the services that we know and our coordination, our efforts through coordination that we know we can do at College of the Canyons. I think, there are some recent initiatives and events that are taking place in California, like the task force on family caregiving that began in 2016 and runs through 2018. And that's a legislative effort to recognize and identify the needs of the family caregiver and the recipients. And there's also an Assembly Bill 806 to give tax credit to caregivers that is currently being discussed in the legislature. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that or not.
No, but can we need to take a break?
Oh, sure, absolutely.
So let's continue.
I get excited and I just keep talking and talking and talking.
Well, I'm here to stop you.
Thank you very much.
We're going to take a break now. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.